Hey guys, welcome back to the Create the Life You Love podcast with Georgia Woodbine and, of course, the Chapters Network. I just love doing the show because we have so many talented people that have so much great information to share. And like I said, this podcast, the purpose of it is to really share conversations with other entrepreneurs and business owners to really help you and provide you with content that gives you what? Action tips, right? And also gives you strategies and techniques and just information to help you grow in life and business. So I want you guys to feel free at any moment to share your comments during the podcast, to share and like and subscribe to this podcast. And as you know, the purpose of this podcast is to what? To share the knowledge, is to support and to empower you to live in your highest potential. All while what? Creating the life you love, right? Because that's the name of the podcast. Create the Life You Love with Georgia Woodbine. So at this moment, like I said, remember to like, subscribe, share this podcast. Go to my website, www.georgiawoodbine.com. There's lots of information on the website. At this moment, I'm going to introduce our special guest. And Peter McCue is the founder of McCue Studio Productions, and he's also a video strategist. And he's going to break that down for us later on. He compiles strategies based on per client, to make sure that not only does he create a productive, driven content, but each piece of content has a specific purpose to drive clients to target demographics to their website. So he discovers what your pain points are, your needs, your goals of the client strategy so that he can be specific and effective as possible. He loves film and creating art with his talents, right? Create the life you love. But knew there was a need, and that not only drives his passion, but it helps his clients in the process to get them their return on their investment. Let us welcome Mr. Peter McCue, video strategist and founder of McCue Studio Productions. Hey, Peter, how are
Hello,
you?
hello, Georgia. Such a pleasure to be here. How are you?
I am fantabulous. I'm so glad that you're here. And, why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself and the type of work you do, but not only the type of work you do, because one of the questions I love to ask all of my guests is why you do what you do. So tell us about yourself, what you do, and then why you do what you do.
Sure. So, I'm born and raised in the state of New York and down in northern Westchester. I'm happily married, been married almost 3 years already, coming up in September. And, the type of work I do and the reason why I do it is because I love helping people. And, we're about community, we're about trying to see how we can help each other out. And I found that there was a need in this industry not to just create content and just keep doing that consistently with many different people, but to show them, let's get you that return on investment. Let's reach your target. So this way, each content has a purpose to be able to strive and grow them or to help them grow within their business, whether it's to save time and things like that. And, it's for me, I love helping people. And that was one of the biggest reasons why I became a video strategist, is because it's the matter of I can help someone better their business or better within their business.
Awesome, awesome. So, why don't you tell us a little bit about your inspiration and what inspired you to get into the visual art industry?
So it's a funny little story. I went to college originally to be a pediatric dentist, a little bit different from what I'm doing right now. And how I got into that was I realized that wasn't my specific passion. I was doing it for the wrong reasons going into the dental field. And so I took some media courses and all of that became like second nature to me. And I said, this is what I want to do for the rest of my life. I loved it. It was like I already knew how to do it before I even started. And it really drove what I wanted to do. And I got into film and editing. And from there, I was able to go above and beyond and find out that there was that need, like I've mentioned, about being a video strategist, and it's not just about shooting content anymore. It's not just about creating something cool. It's about creating it with a purpose. The motto of my business is creating content with a purpose, and that motto only recently started to happen over the last week, and I'm happy to say that because each content has to have a purpose.
Absolutely, absolutely. I mean, there are a lot of people out there that do what you do. I mean, what do you think the difference is between a professional videographer and people that do it for a hobby? Like, what do you think is the difference between those two?
So that is a very good question, Georgia. We're all used to this high technology that Apple's given us, Samsung's given us with, being able to take out our phones, shoot something really cool. And there's absolutely nothing wrong with that. But what really helps us stand out between a hobby videographer and a professional videographer is understanding the elements to shoot that professional level content. For example, like white balance and making sure the shutter speed is at the correct moment, and especially the aperture. Like if you look back here, things are more blurry opposed to everything being in focus. That's what we call aperture or bokeh. And that, it takes skill and takes time to learn all those things. With the mobile devices, those hobby videographers, you're able to kind of do those things on the fly, but not really think about it. And that's what kind of helps us stand out between being professional and just being a hobby videographer. And hey, there's nothing wrong with being a hobby videographer either.
Well, I think a lot of people, I think honestly during the pandemic, a lot of people started doing things that they enjoy and
Right.
really started to laser in on those talents. So, I think people are definitely, looking at other avenues of ways that they can use their gifts and talents. Um, what do you think are the essential characteristics of a successful videographer?
So, a few skills that, that's definitely helped me become a better videographer, and that goes every day, is having that creative eye, that vision, in knowing how to set the stage when you're shooting, the lighting, where you have to put the light, where to put the subject, and how to light the subject correctly, and framing, and knowing, all right, what are we going to put in the background? Are we going to have a little bush in the background to kind of make it look a little more at ease, or we're going to have a plain wall? It all depends on what the type of video is being shot. And then another characteristic is understanding the key elements, like I mentioned in the previous question, was shooting, the framing, the white balance, the shutter speed, the aperture, knowing how to use your camera properly to its full extent. And then the last part is really time management and planning, coming up with a shot list, knowing how to work well with your subject and be able to help them save time and not just coming it up with on the spot, so to speak. And time management is definitely a big characteristic too.
Yeah, that's like super important. I think that sometimes people think like, you have to have a vision, right? Of what it is that you're trying to portray or whatever it is you're trying to create. So when people come to you and say, okay, Peter, I have this vision to do this particular video. This is what I wanted, I wanted to highlight this piece of my brand. How do you deal with your clients? Like, how do you, when they come to you with a vision, what is your role as far as taking their vision and bringing it to life?
Yeah, so how I go about that is, I figure out what are you trying to portray, and how can we, put that in camera, and then we sit down, we go over, all right, here are some ideas. Let's shoot it outside. Let's get some drone footage. Let's be able to capture certain elements like facial expressions. Is it supposed to be serious, happy, sad? And we go through all these concepts, these ideas, and when we go over it, and this is all about pre-production, and it's so important to make sure you hit pre-production very precisely, because once you do that and you plan your shots, then you're able to really bring their vision to life. And that's I think an important overlooked stage, is the whole pre-production. Typically it's just, let's go in, You have an idea, all right, let's shoot it. We'll go on it at the fly, and hopefully we'll make the best of it. Pre-production is definitely very important to go over, and that's definitely one of the key aspects in the business I focus on is making sure we're hitting those targets, those points correctly, and bringing their vision to life, because that's the best part. Is when it comes to life, that feels so great.
I know it's amazing, like how you know, when you think about something, like you have an idea, and then you just take that idea and you share with somebody that's talented and gifted like yourself, and then to see it like manifest in front of your eyes, it's very exciting. Why don't you share with us? Because I know, like, when you started your business, there were a lot of obstacles and setbacks, as in any business, right? Why don't you share like one of the most important lessons that you've learned in your career?
Yeah, absolutely. So something that I've learned, and I continue to learn every day, is it's a matter of being too comfortable and waiting for that moment to take your business into, and whether it's at the next level or trying to get out of your comfort zone. And this kind of, I think, goes with a lot of people in general too, is getting out of your comfort zone is the way you will grow and succeed. And I got that. And Steve Harvey, he is literally the man. I love him. He has this specific 3-minute video about getting outside your comfort zone. And if you don't get out of your comfort zone, you're going to fail. You're not going to grow. You're not going to succeed because you're too comfortable. In order for us to get to that next point, we have to get out of our comfort zone in order to do so. And that's something I learn, every day, and keep reminding myself, because sometimes we like to stay in our comfort zone because it's comfortable, right? When we want to be comfortable. When it's cold out, we want to stay warm. When it's hot, we want to stay cool.
Absolutely. I mean, I think taking control of your life, it always begins with what? Your mindset. And you cannot change anything unless you're willing to confront it. So I do believe that most people have two basic types of mindsets. They either have a fixed mindset or a growth mindset. A fixed mindset comes from the belief that your qualities are carved in stone. So a fixed mindset person prefers the familiar, like you said. They don't want to come outside of their comfort zone. They stick to what they know. They don't like to be challenged. They when they see someone else succeeding, they look at it as a threat. That's when you know you have a fixed mindset. Now, when you have a growth mindset, that comes from the belief that your basic qualities are things that you can cultivate through work and effort. So someone that has a growth mindset, they embrace challenges as opportunities to grow. They like trying to new things. They When they see someone that is succeeding, it inspires them to do better. So I do believe, Peter, that we all have to, that's the first step in success. That's the first step in that big lesson that you have to learn in your careers, that you have to change your mindset. You have to stop beating yourself up. You have to know that you are worthy, that you are valuable, and that you deserve to be paid for your services that you provide to people. Because I think, like, when you love what you're doing, some people, like, they get stuck with, okay, well, I love what I do, but you also want to turn that into your livelihood. So how did you go about that with, something that you really love, and then saying to people, okay, this is my service, this is a service that I provide? How were you able to cross over in that area?
Yeah. So um, it was initially tough, as reminding myself, as listen, I know my value, I know my worth, and I bring a lot of value to the table, especially putting all my time and effort into coming up with strategic plans to grow businesses. And just to know that, hey, listen, you know what, it's going to happen. It's okay to stumble and fall and fail, and eventually it's going to grasp, and eventually you will succeed. Nothing is meant to happen in a split second. Things take time to grow, and that's how we learn, is through growth, is through, like we mentioned, kind of getting out of our comfort zone, and getting in that right mindset. And so overall, once I started getting into that habit, keep reminding myself, hey, listen, I love what I'm doing. I'm very passionate about it. I love helping people. And that's what's most important, is that I love myself. And I'm going to show that to everyone I come across. And they're going to see the passion and value I can bring to them.
Absolutely, absolutely. I mean, what are, like, okay, so now that you're talking about that, what would you say three skills are needed to be a really great for videographer? Like that's going to really separate you from the rest.
So, one of them is having that creative vision, like I mentioned, because it's so important to be able to look at what you're about to shoot and say, how can I make this look so much better than, what any other videographer is going to do? And then on top of that, being able to work with other people in the industry, even videographers. Like I work with other types of videographers in the industry myself, and I've learned, I continue to pick up, new things I didn't think of. It's always good to get a fresh perspective. Um, and then, the same goes with time management. For me, I learned using Google Calendar. It's literally the greatest thing for me. And using Calendly as well, because they coincide with each other and they actually help when I'm booking meetings, things like that. I put things in the calendar and I get constant reminders, and that definitely helps my time management. But I really think the most important skill is growing that creative eye and just learn from others, learn from the videographers, learn from the marketers that have been doing it for years, and they've been doing it for years for a reason. And it's always good to get that new fresh look.
I know, and it's like with technology always changing, it's like you're constantly
Absolutely.
learning something new. It's like as soon as you learn one thing, they have something new, and you're like, okay, I gotta have another password, I have to have another sign on, I have to have another log on. It's like, okay, when is this?
There's
As soon as you
always
put
something
something,
new.
there's something new, right?
Absolutely. There's always that new camera. There's always that new piece of lighting. There's always new everything. It's like as soon as you buy it up, they just made a new one.
I know, I tell you, it's just hard to keep up. As you know, like we were talking about before earlier on the show, it's the name of the podcast is to create the life you love. Can you tell us, you know, can you define what success means to you? Because success means different things to different people. What
Absolutely.
would you say success means for you?
So that's definitely a very good question. And honestly, for me, success isn't all about making a lot of money. And that's just me personally. If what I do with my business, if I can help achieve their goals, if I can help them reach new heights and I can help them save time and continue to grow and explode, that is what defines success for me, because I just helped a business go from point A to point B and then from point B to point C. That is something I define as success for what I do. The money aspect, it's not making tons of money isn't something that I think is successful. And I'm sure that's probably intuitive because, and again, everyone thinks differently. But for what I do specifically, helping
Hmm.
people is so important and essential because I know I love community. And if I can make the community better some way, especially with businesses, then I'm doing pretty well.
That's a wonderful thing. I think when once people realize that you don't have to chase success, because when you're providing value, success chases you. You don't have to run around looking, most people don't even realize that the most important question that you will ever ask yourself is, why am I here? And I think that we should all ask ourselves that question, because when you start to ask yourself those really serious, important questions, then you can really start to reevaluate what your priorities are and how you're spending your time, who you're spending your time with, what are you doing. One of the things I always share is that everybody should have a mission statement for your life. Most people think mission statements should be for organizations or non for profits or businesses, but you should have a personal mission statement. Why? Because when you have a personal mission statement, you're in alignment. You know why you're doing what you're doing. You know why you're spending time. You know why you're doing this. You know why you're going to that meeting. Why you're sending that email. Why you're taking that phone call. Because you know you have a mission. So I would like you to share if you know what your mission statement is. I know I'm putting you on the spot, but like.
So my mission statement is always in development. Whenever anybody asks, I'm like, I'm working on it. So I'll
Hmm.
kind of give you a rough mission statement of what my business is about. So when I sit down with clients, I don't charge anything in terms of learning about their business, learning about, all right, let's, putting a strategic plan together. I don't charge for, any of that stuff because all I want to do is bring value to them. And, what's so important is, we help each other out. Like I was at a networking event yesterday and I was giving a, hopefully future colleague and person is all these little tips to think about when listen, just create own videos yourself, get comfortable with it.
Mm-hmm.
And he's like, wow, you're telling me all these things and there's no charge for it? I said no, because if I can't provide value for you and I'm not helping you, then this doesn't work properly.
Mm-hmm.
And so for me, for the rough mission statement is bringing community together and building each other up so we can all win, not so I can just win and you don't. It's so we can all win together because we're all in this together.
There you go. I love it. I love that. I love that. Um, I know we're going to be running out of time soon. So I would like you to share my signature question
Sure.
is if you were to look in the mirror, what would you tell your younger self?
I would tell myself, don't give up whatsoever. No matter what comes your way, no matter what high walls come, just keep climbing, keep working, because at the very end, when you just want to give up, something will break open. And I've learned that, and it happens in I think almost any industry. When we're at that breaking point, that's
Mm-hmm.
when something will happen and come to fruition. And then it becomes such a big blessing. And God has blessed me so much over this past year. And I can't thank Him enough for all the opportunities and doors He's opened. So just keep pushing hard, keep going through the grind. It's going to be worth it at the end. It's worth every blood, sweat, and tears that you're putting into it. Create the life you love, just like you said. And
Mm-hmm.
that's so essential.
It's so important. I believe that what really separates people that live by intention and that live by default is, of course, their thoughts, their actions, their habits, and everybody has the freedom to choose the life that they want, right? I mean, look at how so much has changed since the pandemic. So many people have started businesses, so many people have become influencers. Like they love to travel, they love to cook, they love whatever it is they love to do. They've figured out how to use that to create a platform for it. So I believe that we all have talents, we all have gifts, they're all different. And you know what? That's okay. And don't compare yourself to someone else and don't try to emulate someone else because
That's right.
what's working for that person might not work for you.
Yep.
You have to find what your authentic self is. You have to find out like what's valuable, what like you said, what value are you bringing to your audience, to your clientele. And when you understand that and the purpose behind what you're doing, you realize, like you said, when you're at that end of your rope, you know, doors start to open. People start to reach out to you. People start to appreciate you. People start to appreciate your craft, your talent, what you do. And they don't mind paying you for it because they know that you're adding value to their business. So, I mean, I think that we all, like I said, we all have the ability to create the life we love. The only thing that's standing between you and creating the life that you love is what? Your mindset. You have to believe that you can do it. You have to believe that you're worthy. You have to believe that you're valuable, that you have something to offer, that you have something that somebody else doesn't. And guess what? We all have something because no one can share your experiences. Only you can. Do you have any last words? I know we're going to be closing up soon. We have about a minute left. Do you want to share any tidbits or any words of advice to people that are starting a business, especially in this industry? Would you like to share something?
Yeah, I'll share something that I've learned from very close colleagues of mine is when you're going out there and you're starting to network and you're starting to try to get your name out there, just remember your network is your net worth. So each person you come across, you don't know if they might come back in 5 minutes, 5 months, or 5 years. Keep building, build relationships. That's what I've really learned is it's not about trying to sell, it's about building relationships. So if you focus on that, you will see great things happen in whatever business you are trying to develop.
Absolutely, absolutely. I totally agree. Ditto. Oh gosh. Thank you so much, Peter, for joining us and sharing with us. I'm sure there's a lot of people out there that would love to do what you do. And so the fact that you took time out to come on the show to share little tidbits and in your experience, I really, really appreciate that. I would like to let everyone know, please share, please like, please share this podcast with people on Facebook, on Twitter, on YouTube, LinkedIn. And remember, like I said, we all have the freedom of what? Of choice, to be mindfully aware, to create the experiences that we desire and less of the things that we don't. Thank you once again for joining us on this podcast. Thank you, Peter. Could we put his website up one more time? Could you just share quickly where people can find you and your website?
Thank you, Georgia. This was such a pleasure. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Have a great night, everyone.